So hello and welcome to another episode of Good Fat Life. And we, as with every episode, we are so excited about our guests and our topics. And as I'm looking at your name, Kim, because I have this habit of right before I have to say a name, I just go blank. It's like the deer in the headlines. I realize that Kim Haas, your name, was the name of the hottest guy in my junior high.
That's funny.
It is. I'm like, why is this name? What is this name? And then it just like dawned on me. He popped up in life. He was adorable. So anyway,
I'm glad it's a good association.
Oh yeah, it was. And then it's so funny because of the things we're going to talk about. And then right on that memory came in all of that, some of that baggage of having a crush on him and high school and junior high and those feelings and emotions. And I wish I would have had these tools back then. Right. So Kim, before we get started, I just want to remind our viewers and readers about goodfatlife.com. Go to the website, and we have a new magazine that is going to be delivered any moment. So we are so excited about it. And the other exciting thing is you have an article in there.
I do.
And it is living off the mat, yoga off the mat, living yoga off the mat. So tell us, how did you get started in yoga?
I kind of dipped my toes into it for several years, like online and little videotapes way back when my kids were little. And then when I moved to Michigan, I found a studio and I kind of went in and out of it. And then I don't know what it was. I think it was maybe the empty nest was looming. And so I really committed.
What was that? I'm sorry?
The empty nest was kind of looming in front of me.
Okay.
My oldest was getting ready to graduate. And I've been a stay-at-home mom for all these years. And so I found this community. And I think in January, I committed to unlimited yoga. And then by March, I was in their yoga teacher program.
Oh, wow.
So it was a fast transition once I committed to it.
And what was it that made you decide to commit? Because I hear so many people in and out. I tried it, I didn't like it, or I tried it and I'm now teaching.
Yeah, I really, the teacher really resonated with me, and so did the community. And I had questions after every class. And she kept saying, I think you might benefit from the teacher training program. I thought, I could never be a teacher because I'm not comfortable being in front of people. I'm a writer. I'm more private. But that turned out not to be the case at all.
So, it's a very welcoming community.
It is.
The people, everybody that I've met in the yoga community has been a great human, right?
Yep.
So, talk about that. What is it about yoga? In your article, there's the 8 limbs of yoga. We have this beautiful graphic, and I had never heard about that before.
Well, neither had I until I started, going deeper into it. Like, we all know the poses. That's what most people think yoga is just showing up your mat and bending and stretching and getting stronger, which it is. If that gets you to your mat to start the journey, that's great. But once you start to really dive into the practice, you realize it's so much more. There's something called the yamas and niyamas, which are just kind of guidelines for how to live your life. Like internally, like with yourself, it's, ahimsa, which is nonviolence. And it's not just nonviolence to the world, it's like nonviolence to yourself. How are you speaking to yourself on a daily basis? Can you be kinder to yourself? And I always think when you're kinder to yourself, you can be kinder to the world around you.
We like to say, happy people don't act like that.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
As a way of finding compassion when people are just having bad behavior.
Right.
So, that's great. So, I'm just thinking that's just so true. And it's so easy to not be kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So what would be some of the things that you would learn? What's actually, tell us about your room. That is so intriguing.
Yeah. So when my daughter was getting ready to leave to go to college, I just happened to be scrolling on Pinterest, and I saw somebody had their own yoga room in their home. And I was like, whoa, I never actually thought of that, but I could totally do that. And then I mentioned it to my amazing husband. And the minute I say anything, he is like on it. So we just created this beautiful space for me once she moved out. And I was kind of afraid that it would be like, every other fitness phase, thing, and it would just kind of gather dust. But I'm in there pretty much every single day, maybe more than once a day. It's just a safe place to land. I just walk in that space. I'm like, okay.
And you can breathe.
Yes. And maybe I do like a full practice. Maybe I just sit in child's pose for a few breaths. Maybe I just go in there to meditate. But it's my space.
It sounds lovely.
It is.
It sounds lovely. And it's so important, right?
Yeah.
I have a colleague who was just telling me that she's lost her spaces through COVID and, changes with spouses working and her work and kids and stuff. And you hear that all the time. It's like the space that I had that I got used to when the kids moved out is no longer there. Or I would have loved to have had that, I'm thinking, as my children were growing up, just to have that, and not your bedroom.
Right.
Not a space that's shared, just someplace that's kind of like you say, you walk in and your mind goes,
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I've always had a room, or at least a corner of my own for my writing. Even when the kids were little, I managed to carve out a little space. And it's not just a physical space. Like, you have to carve out the time.
Right. Right. And there's Enya's greatest hits.
Yes.
If I need to write or concentrate on anything, and I've done this for 30 years, I turn that on, and sometimes I'll add a candle, and immediately I'll go into this whole different zone.
I love that.
Right? And it's like, it's almost a trance-like feeling.
Yes. Yeah, you've created a ritual, which I love, and it's just like kind of a doorway.
It is.
Into that.
And I've read a lot of research around that, is that it literally creates different pathways in our brain. And when we do it, 50, 60 times in a row, suddenly you don't have to be, you don't have to be thinking about the process.
Right.
It's just like driving. You just do it.
Yep.
And there's something that's really wonderful about that.
Yep.
So I guess what I'm even saying is that if you can't find the space, find the ritual.
Exactly.
What's it like? You teach some really interesting classes. You don't teach the traditional, I guess my idea of traditional, it probably isn't a traditional yoga class.
I teach a wide variety, from the traditional like hatha, which is, I say, just like on the baseline class. Pretty much anybody can take that.
But what does that mean?
It is just like your basic connecting breath to movement. It's not really strong, but it's not super gentle. So it's kind of that Goldilocks in between practice, I think. But I always give modifications to take it up if you need to do that, to take it down if you absolutely need to do that.
Okay, so I love that too. So you can, if you go to a class, you can modify to meet you where you are.
Yes, that is actually my motto as a teacher, to have my students meet themselves where they are on any given day, any given pose, even side to side. Maybe this hip is really, really wide open, but then the other side, like, oh, that's a little tight. Fine, meet yourself there.
Okay, because it can be intimidating if you've never gone, right?
You can. Yeah.
So then talk about your classes.
So anything from hatha to gentle. I teach a chair yoga. So if you're having trouble getting up and down off the floor, or if you just want a gentler space, it's 45 minutes. Chair yoga, it's great. You can still build strength. Then I teach one that combines writing and yoga, which is like, it's my favorite. I just love it so much. It's become beyond what I expected it could be. So it's called Poses, Pens, Inner Peace. It's Wednesday nights at 7, and we sit in a circle. There's meditation. We explore whatever the theme is. I'll give a prompt. We write for anywhere from 2 to 7 minutes. Just keep your hand moving is pretty much the only rule. And if you go off on a totally different tangent, follow that. There's always time to share or not, depending on how much talking there is, because it's a very, very supportive group. We do some yoga, some breath work. At the end, I'll read one more quote or poem, give them a prompt, and I have these beautiful deck of cards. I think the artist's name is Elizabeth on Earth. They're just gorgeous, gorgeous little paintings, and with little words at the bottom, and people will grab one of those and use that as another kind of doorway into the prompt. And then they will read that, we'll close, and off we go.
Sounds lovely.
It is.
It just sounds like you can just, just hearing you talk about it, I just can feel my nervous system just like calming down.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? And then the other one that you teach
Yes,
that I've been to.
Yeah,
is,
it's called Yoga Bliss.
Oh, it's magic.
Oh, thank you. I wish I could take it.
Right.
It's only in the fall and the winter because it's a very kind of introspective practice. So it's Sunday nights at 7. We do a half an hour-ish of yin yoga, which is very still, you just allow your muscles to release, allow everything to soften. You can use props. And
you hold that pose a long time.
Yeah, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It gets into all the deep connective tissue. So it's really good for joints like the shoulders and the hips.
It's such an interesting feeling.
Yeah, it can be hard for some people. Other people are just like, this is great. Or people are like, oh, this is a lot. My brain gets really, really anxious when my body's really, really still. So it's a good practice for that.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
That's
to
okay.
interrupt. But
That's okay.
And then
for Shavasana, everybody gets into Shavasana, which is just like very, very relaxed space. You're going to be there for 30 minutes. So I asked you to be really supported. So if you need something to prop up your back or under your knees, pillows, people bring blankets, they put on cozy socks. And then I lead them through what is called Yoga Nidra, which is a guided yoga sleep. And then once everybody is really, really calm, I come around and do Reiki on everybody. So you'll feel me like around your head, forehead, ears. And that's just energy work. People fall asleep. People snore. People want to have a little yoga bliss sleepover some nights because it's really relaxing. But they usually say they sleep really well that night. And it's just a great way to start the work week.
Yoga Nidra is my happy place.
Yes.
It's like the secret. I found out about it it was before I went to India, right before I went to India. And so it was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it was because it's so easy to wake up during the night.
Yeah.
And then to put on, I use Insight Timer.
Me too.
And, and so who's your favorite?
Jennifer Percy.
Mine too.
I just love her
too.
voice.
I do too. And the things that she says,
Yes.
you're in your cells and your muscles, but it's such a beautiful reminder of our bodies.
It is.
And I literally, like I said, it's designed to just calm your nervous system down and put you into this sleep. Even if you're awake, you're still getting deep, deep rest.
Yeah, I want to say, I think the statistic is 1 hour of Yoga Nidra can equal 4 hours of deep restorative sleep.
Yeah, so it's a great tool, especially if you're not sleeping well.
Yes.
So what it did is it took away my sleep anxiety.
Oh,
because
I love that.
if I wake up, I know, so if I go to bed and I fall asleep like that, but I know if I go to bed and I wake up, I can just turn on a Yoga Nidra, Jennifer Percy, right?
Yep.
And even if I don't fall right back asleep, I know that I've gotten a really deep rest. So even I know that when I wake up in the morning, because I will eventually fall back asleep, when I wake up, I'll be deeply rested. Instead of that feeling of oh my gosh, I got to get up early, I'm going to be tired, blah, 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 those stories that go around in our heads.
I know. And those stories are the things that keep us awake.
That keep us awake, right. And my husband, it doesn't bother him because she's got such a soothing voice that he really doesn't even notice it.
Yep.
So that was such a magic thing to find.
Yeah,
right?
and I use it during the day. I'll use it if I'm feeling anxious, if I feel like my nervous system just feels a little hot. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go up in my room, put on a Yoga Nidra. It's like for daytime. It's not meant to go to sleep,
right?
But it's really relaxing.
Yeah,
it kind of resets everything.
And it does. And your point, it's a wonderful tool for you want a 15-minute refresh.
Yeah,
you're kind of sleepy.
And that's kind of the point of all these things. Like these are great tools, but we have to use them. Like we can't just let them sit in our pretty little cute toolbox over there. We have to actually pull them out and use them. And that's the magic of this practice, I think.
Well, and so in your article, you mention when the inner critic starts getting really loud.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Pull out a yoga practice out of your toolbox.
Yep. Even just deep breathing at that point, or just getting into my body, dropping out of the drama of my head and into my body.
And so many of us live in our heads all day.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Right? And the world we live in is kind of hard to escape.
Yes.
And so we need that.
We do.
Because it's not going away.
Right.
Right? So we need that balance. And like you said, when I'm feeling overwhelmed by technology and social media, right? And for me, the stress is not social media, what's posted so much. It's the actually having to do the posts.
Oh, yeah.
Right? From my work. That is, and responding, and the technology associated with it, because there's so many ways to communicate now.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling. It can be. And then anxiety. You said when anxiety begins to overwhelm you, you can pull out your...
Yeah, pretty much just stepping into my yoga space or my yoga, the studio, just onto my mat, I can just feel everything kind of go, oh, okay, I'm safe here. That's what I tell my students. It's like, no matter what's going on in your life right now, whatever was happening before you came to class, in this moment, everything's okay. You're here, you're breathing, you're in community, you're safe here.
And I've heard that before, just go to the mat. Just go to the mat, right?
Yep.
Whatever, go to the mat.
Yep. And if you're like in your car, in a traffic jam, go to your breath. Just go to your breath. Just a couple of deep breaths can calm everything down.
And we always have it.
We do. It's right there.
And it's free.
It is free.
Right?
Exactly.
And it works.
It totally works.
I mean, like, what's not to like about all of that?
I know.
So where do you see, and you do mention, which I think we can all kind of relate, you've joined gyms through the years, you've bought exercise equipment, you've gone to different things, and nothing has ever been sustainable.
Right.
So what makes this different?
I think it is because it is just more than the physical practice for me. It's more than just when I'm on my mat. It has kind of woven itself into kind of the fabric of my days. So I feel completely connected to it and to my yoga community, both online and in person. It just has become part of who I am.
Sounds like your way of being.
Yeah.
It's who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Which is the coolest.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That
is like what good fat life is really all about. It's the not the idea. It's the idea and the practice of taking these things and just becoming who we are.
Yes.
As part of our day. It's our self-care, but it's not like over here.
Right. Exactly.
And it's little things. And when you do, I'm sure that as you moved into that, then it was easy to pick up the next thing.
Yes.
And the next thing, right?
Yes.
It's like maybe you eat a little differently or you like sleep a little differently. And
yeah, because it's all connected. And one little shift can cause another little shift. Or I feel like my practice has just caused this ripple effect into my life in a really good way. And I think we were talking before, it's not that I never get anxious. It's not that I never hear that inner critic. It's not that things don't overwhelm me. It's those things happen, and now I have a little more ease as I move through them. I can move through them with a little more grace.
And do you find that you notice when you go to that space quicker?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Oh, let's bring in some.
Much quicker.
And that to me is kind of, it's like the cherry on the top.
Yes.
It's not that we're not going to feel anxiety and stress and overwhelm and all of these things, but we can quickly feel it, notice it, and go, oh, and it's not even like I have tools. It's like, oh, I'll start breathing.
Exactly.
Or I'll go to my room or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Which is lovely. I noticed that the more things that we practice and can make just a way of being, then the easier it is to just bring in the next thing.
Yes.
And each day becomes fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Fun, imagine.
And right. And it's not that stuff isn't happening like it did before having the tools.
Right.
It's just that the way we respond to them is so much different.
Yes, exactly.
And that makes the day fun.
It does.
So I like to say, when this stuff happens and you go, okay, and I can calm my anxiety or my overwhelm or whatever it is down, then I can get curious. It's like, oh,
curious.
I wonder where this is going to go.
Yes. That was the card I drew this morning, was curious.
Was curious?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it just changes everything. And then the day becomes fun and it's like, oh, another great day.
Yep.
Regardless of what happens.
Exactly.
Because we're all going to have circumstances.
We are.
Yeah. So, well, good. I love this. So tell us about where you teach, where you practice.
I teach at it's Spirit Rising Yoga Meditation. It's in Brighton. I think it's myspiritrising.net. The schedule's on there. We have classes every day. We have workshops monthly. I offer Reiki. We have an Ayurveda practitioner, which is the sister science of yoga, hypnosis, trauma-informed yoga. We offer lots of different services that just are all about kind of what your magazine's about, really just connecting to yourself, taking care of yourself on all different levels.
And also the other thing you said is the community.
Yes.
Because we as humans love community.
We do.
And it's it brings us up, and especially it's nice to know that there's people who have your backs no matter what.
Yes. And I feel like we have a really strong supportive community
there. I love the environment. So when I came to take your class, it just feels, you walk in the door and you just can feel yourself just like settle in.
That's what everybody says when they walk in.
Yeah.
Which I love to hear.
It's just such a beautiful space and peaceful and all that goes
Sam's
with
done a great job just making it her own and just welcoming everybody in and growing the community.
Yeah. So, well, good. So we will have the information about how to connect with you.
Okay.
And also how to connect with the studio.
Perfect.
And then, So, and I love that I selfishly love that you said that the class you teach is only in the fall and winter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, oh, well, okay, I could do that in the fall and winter, right, as part of my self-care. And then so it's not like a year-round every Sunday for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
Not that that's bad, it's just that in my mind it's like, oh, that's just too much right now.
Yeah.
But fall and winter's fine.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the kind of season where you tend to go inward anyway.
Right.
So
and you want to, it just feels good. So, well, good. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It was just lovely.
It is, I'm just like, okay, I had, the times that I had tried yoga when I was younger, it was a horrible experience.
Oh, I'm sorry.
just, it really was. And I don't know what I also have learned is that all teachers are not the same.
True.
And all studios are not the same.
Yep.
And, but I didn't know that at the time. But I know that now.
Yeah.
And I've just learned that different bodies work better with different classes and different environments.
Yes.
I don't know that some teachers had that sense of meet you where you are.
Right. I think that's something all of our teachers do, and we are all about beyond just the poses. And Sam offers a 30 days for $30, so that is a great way to see if we're a good fit. If the teachers are a good fit, the styles, the community, the schedule even, you have 30 days to figure it out if it's a good fit for you.
Right. No, I love that. So on that happy note, I'm going to invite you all to check out yoga and Yoga Nidra and the classes that are offered, and Kim Haas.
Thank you.
And like I said, go out and live your good fat life. Thank you.